I'd like to start by familiarizing yourselves with what I do. I am called a long arm quilter. Probably a lot of you don't know what that is. I have a large industrial machine in my basement. I am a sole proprietorship business, and I've been in business for 20 years. I take other people's quilt tops, and I do the decorative stitching that holds it all together. This particular quilt I'm going to talk about a little bit later. But so the stitching that you see on top that's holding the layers together is actually what I do. That's one example. And this is another one, which you can see a little bit more. This is a little bit more decorative stitching. I don't sell quilts. If you get a quilt from me, it's a gift. You're either dying, or you have cancer, or some other tragedy. So I don't sell quilts, which is what a lot of people think I do, because nobody understands the value and the time that goes into making something like this. But what I do is sew them together, and for the past 20 years, I've never had a day without a quilt. So as a short history, 20 years ago, I was an unemployed, displaced worker classified by the unemployment agency as displaced, and I had an opportunity to either take 2 years of free college, which I thought was great. At 40-some years old, I'm like, yeah, I want to go back to college. I never finished it. I was a stay-at-home mom. So I was going to do that. And then the machine that I own now came on the market as a used machine, and my husband said, what do you want to do? Do you want to do what you love, or do you want to go to school and decide what you're going to do? Well, of course, I'm going to do what I love. I bought the machine. I never looked back. I was the first one in this valley to have a machine like this, and I snagged all the business. Now there's 15 of us, or more, possibly. Women are spending billions of dollars in the quilting industry, and hardly anybody knows about it. And they come to me, they pay me a lot of money to finish their quilts. I get to work at home, do what I love. So, about 2 years ago, another opportunity came my way. I'm singing along, doing what I love, and I met a man from Seattle who had a collection of antique quilts. He asked me what I thought he should do with them. And I said, well, I think that you should probably try to reproduce them. He was going to put them in a museum, and I said, no, that's a bad idea. You'll never see them, and they won't take care of them. So I said, why don't we get together and partner and try to reproduce these as patterns so that other women who love to do this craft can make those quilts and have them for themselves, because you can't sell them. And he said, well, why would they do that? And I said, because that's what they love, and they're spending millions of dollars doing it every year on fabric. There are women that buy the machine that I have for $30,000 just to own it for themselves. They don't even do it for a business. So that's the kind of money that's getting spent in my industry. And very few people know that, because we're all working behind the scenes. We do a lot of charity work and stuff like that, but a lot of money goes through this industry. And so I said, let's produce these as patterns. So this particular quilt, this is my quilt, and this is a reproduction of one of the quilts that he had. It was a slave era quilt, and it looked almost exactly like this. I reproduced it into this pattern, and I have created the pattern. I design patterns for myself, and where's my pattern? So I designed this as a pattern, and I'm working with him to design other patterns to reproduce his quilts so that I can sell them, other women can make them, and believe it or not, I've spoken to a woman, her and her daughter produce patterns like this. They have 6 different patterns. They actually make a good full-time living selling these on the internet because it's worldwide. And that's what I hope to do. I have a lot of connections in the quilting business, but the main problem that I have is I'm in my 60s. I don't want to do Instagram. I don't want to do Twitter. I really don't want to do a website. I want to do what I love. I love to sit behind my sewing machine. I love to work with color and fabric and design and do those kind of things. I don't love sitting on the computer and doing the things that you have to do nowadays to make a business go. So I have been, I worked with a gal from, I call the Skill Center, and I needed a tutorial video for my patterns so that I could show other people how to do it without actually being in the classroom with these people. And so, yay me, I have a YouTube channel, and I don't have a lot of money to spend extra on these things. My living is a part-time living. I supplement my husband's income. So I called the Skill Source, and they sent out a girl, and she came to my house, and we did a video, and I did it in one take. And she did a great job. She wouldn't let me pay her, but I did anyways. And so I feel good that I used that resource and did it locally, because I've had other people tell me that, you know, I can spend $1,000 or more than that to do a video, to have a website, to do all these things. But I'd like to use our local resources to do that. I'd love to have somebody, I have a person on the East Coast who's going to help me with my website, but I'd rather use local people. Commercial printing, did my patterns. So if any of you have a business or know, and you can help me with things like Instagram and those kind of things, you know, teach me how to do it. Marketing, I love to do marketing, but you know, I know that I can't do it all. So that's the kind of thing that I'm looking for help with, is how to take this kind of business and get it out internationally, because I'm used to doing it by myself in my home. And I've never needed to advertise my other business. I just word of mouth. So thank you for listening. I appreciate your input.
My first comment to you would be, you don't have to have Facebook and Instagram. As a management consultant, I will say that many management consultants tell you you must. And what looks worse than not doing it is starting it and not following through. And unless you want an employee to do that, you don't have to. Okay. Secondly, if you want free advertising, given the small world that you're in, just write an article, don't commit to a monthly column, an occasional article that you put in some quilting magazine who would love to have it. And in your little bio, they'll give you 2 lines. You say, I am so-and-so, and I make quilting patterns. Okay. Here's my website. Because they'll only give you a little bit. Right? Yeah. Because the way that you get the word out is in your little world.
Okay. Thanks. So you're looking to expand out, right, into worldwide distribution. Yeah. So I know that if you feel comfortable with it, there are people locally that will set that up, and you know, for a fee monthly would do your Instagram if you wanted to do Facebook and all of that. And also, do you have a distribution list of people that you know?
Not really. I'm not sure I know what you mean.
So do you have like an email list of people that you work with on a regular basis?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you could put together emails that you could send out monthly, quarterly.
Okay. Like constant contact kind of a thing. Okay. And I'll ask you this question. My 28-year-old daughter came one day and said, okay, Mom, here's what you need to do. She got out the whiteboard. She listed all these things, homework that I need to be doing. You need to be on Instagram. You need to be on Twitter. You need to get your website. And then I'm like, I'm on overwhelm. And then my other daughter told me, well, Mom, Instagram is all about the picture quality. And I'm like, who cares? It's a picture. I don't have time to be worrying about the picture quality. So is that true or not true?
Don't listen to people who just have vague opinions. Listen to people who've actually done it for 10 or 20 years. In my business, which is totally different, for a long time when I was younger, I would pick out ads in newspapers or magazines, and you know, and then I thought I had to do all this stuff. And when you have a niche market, even though it's a worldwide niche market, you don't need to advertise to the whole world of people. Mm-hmm. And so if somebody has to be into the hobby in order to even want to do it, right? Yeah. The other thought I had was you could sell these on Amazon and not have any advertising at all. You just have them there, and then in your little constant contact, which I think that's a good idea because it's fairly straightforward. You put get these on Amazon. You get a little widget. You stick in you do Amazon Associates is the program. You'll get less money, but you get a larger volume.
Okay.
Have you tracked who your demographic is?
Well, not really. I just know it from being in the industry for so long. I've been in quilting since the 70s when the Centennial Revival happened. And now there's a whole new group of younger women that don't travel in the same circles, but they're doing it on the internet with each other. And so I know who they are, and I go to market every year. I go to the International Quilt Market every year. I follow the trends. So does that answer your question? I do know who they are.
The reason I was asking is my mom quilted forever, and she passed it on to me, and I've tried to pass it on to my daughter somewhat reluctantly. And so when you're looking at any kind of social media platform, it's important to know who you're targeting, because some would say Twitter is more male-based. Instagram is a little bit younger. Facebook is our generation, if you will. So just kind of making sure you're watching that too, of who you're actually trying to go after as a client, and then making sure that the platforms that you're in are relevant to those people.
And to that, I don't think I will probably ever use Twitter, because most of the quilters and the younger generation of quilters are on Instagram. And one of my homework job was to follow as many people as possible. I could be there all day.
You had mentioned that you like to do a lot of charitable work. And
I don't do a lot. The people that I'm involved with in quilting do.
So that might be an avenue to capitalize on, because people who are charitable or who are involved in some sort of charitable organization can be some of your best advertisers, and it would be great. So that might be a good circle of influence that you could tap into just by what you're providing for them, and the emotion in the heart, like you talked about, that being, the slave era.
Yeah.
That might be a really good emotional pull.
Jill, as a fan of yours, and you've done some of my quilts in the past, but I'm wondering if Pinterest might be another great place for you to tap into, because a lot of us that are into quilting don't maybe tap into the same spots, but we all connect with one another, sharing what our likes are. So.
And you're right about that. I need to use that more, because I don't personally use Pinterest much. But I know that a lot of people do. Yeah, and I'm friends with the gal that owns the quilt shop in Chelan, and she uses it. She gets up every morning. Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, and I'm like, I gotta go to work.
I ask people if they get an ROI on those, a return on investment. There's just so much talk and hype. You need to pick a couple and do them. Don't believe the people that say you have to do them all. It's just baloney.
Yeah, I need a presence in those places so that when they're there, they see me. So, yeah.
Where are you currently selling your patterns?
Well, I'm currently, this is my first one. I have 3 others, and I don't have distribution yet. I have a spot on Amazon that I can use with Black Expressions. That's another story. But I'm not quite ready to sell them, because I want to launch them with my ability. I go and teach a class on it, which I love to do. So I'm working with a fellow on the East Coast on a website, and he does exclusively quilting-related websites. So as soon as I have that, that'll be where I can direct people to the website. And then every time I go and teach a class, I sell, and I have a display coming up at the Northwest Fiber Arts Museum in La Conner, Washington. We're going to have a large display there. It's one of the largest, most well-known museums for quilting in the United States. So I feel really good about that. And that will get us a lot of distribution.
So forgive my ignorance, but the patterns, are they downloads? Are they like a PDF download?
They're downloads, or you can buy them in a store like this.
Okay, and then you go and you source your own fabrics, your own materials in order
right.
to put that together?
Yes. I'm not going to sell fabric. Nope. This is pretty simple, too. So anyway, one of the things that I am looking for to do this, I'm a designer. I draft patterns, but it's my chicken scratch, and I can read it. So I'm looking for a good photographer. I'm looking for a graphic designer who can make a template out of this that I can just plug and play for every pattern. I do not like to do this kind of stuff. It takes me forever, where I know somebody that can do it, they're gonna be like, yeah, that takes me half an hour. So if any of you are do an Illustrator or Adobe, you like to do this kind of thing, I would love that. And I need a good photographer. This is my little snapshot, and it's not very good. So I want them to look professional. And the gals that are doing this in the quilting industry, they're making a good living. So, and I want to travel the world teaching. That's my dream. Yes?
I mean, consider Etsy. It's just what I keep
Yes, as a,
attracted. Artisan.
Etsy seems to me to be a little bit more of an already made thing. Like if I was selling quilts, I would put them on Etsy. But most of the people I know that are going after patterns are either getting them off of the person's website or in a store or off of Amazon. But not a lot on Amazon because it's such a cheap item. It's only $10. And so they take a little bit. So most of them are website or they come and find you. Yeah.
Have you read the book, The E-Myth? Because it talks about some of the stuff about balancing the three hats of being a tradesperson or craftsperson, with
Yeah.
supervisor, with entrepreneur. And it seems like that's really where you're at. It may, if you haven't read it, it's pretty short. Maybe.
Good thought. I think I had that book at one time, and I did not finish it because it wasn't relevant to me at the time, but it might be now. So and I would like to have a permanent videographer. The gal that I used from the Skill Source moved on. She doesn't own her own camera. She did a fabulous job on my video, but a lot of the gals in our industry are putting a lot of videos online, and I would love to do that because I can compartmentalize each little skill and put it on YouTube as a skill. I can tape whole classes. I currently do teach what I do to new owners of long arms. I go in and I give them a 2-day class and I get them up and running and teach them skills that I know how to give to them. And so if anybody knows a videographer that needs business, hook them up with me. I love using local people because working with this young man over the phone on my website, it's like, okay, I wish you were right here next to me, but you're not, so.
How do we reach you if we have
I have my business card right here.
perfect?
My website is not up, but I have email and I take phone calls all day long. Yeah.
Jill, stupid question. What's a long arm? I mean, I just think my arm's really long, so explain what a long arm quilter is.
It's called that because the machine itself, picture your sewing machine stretched out this far from back. Well, you would look at it as from side to side, but I'm oriented to the machine from back to front. So it's a very large industrial machine. It weighs, I don't know, 40 pounds. I know that when I have to put it in my trunk. And I virtually draw with it. It goes in all directions. It's on 8 wheels, and I have a large 14-foot table. And so basically, I'm drawing all day with a sewing machine. It's loud. I just crank my radio up. That's why I know you people from KPQ, because I listen to the radio all day. And yeah, so that's what it is. Yeah, it's basically drawing. And it's funny because I'd been in the quilting world for years and loved it. It was my passion, but I wasn't sure whether I'd be able to do this skill because I can't even write my name in cursive. I have no drawing skills, but I was able to learn patterns in my head, and then they come out your hands, and you can do them in any size, in any direction, in any shape. So that's what I'm able to teach other people, that they think that you have to be able to draw bears. Oh, well, I don't draw bears. I draw patterns, and I can teach other people how to do that. So that's really fun to see them get going on their own machine since they spent $30,000 on it. So you would bring me the 3 pieces that go into this quilt: the back, the top that you have pieced and had just so much fun piecing because it's all colorful and everything, and then the batting. And then I put it on my machine, those 3 layers, and I do this stitching that you see that gives it relief and texture. That's what I do. And then I give it back to you, and you feel like you finished it because you put the binding on. Some people have me put the binding on too, and I'm like, woohoo, you did the piecing, I did everything else. No. So yeah, there's lots of different processes, but that's basically what I do.
Sounds to me like your new list, contrary to what your daughter wrote, is actually a website.
Yes.
And photographer.
Yes.
Videographer, and there was one more on there, designer.
Yeah, graphic designer, yes. Because I'm the designer of the pattern, and I do all the in Scratch, yes.
I think that you could get all of that from one company, and I think you could probably do that local. There's several companies in
Okay.
town that do that. And I think that if you're looking for affordability, they could set you up with a website that you could manage from there. They could set you up with graphic design templates that you could manage from there. And it sounds like you might just need a photographer and a videographer more frequently after that. So you could piecemeal all of those, or you could just find one person that sets you up with that.
I love that.
Yeah, and you can do that local. There are companies that do that. So from what I can gather, that's your main.
And you're right, that is. Because once I have something, I can manage it. I just don't want to create it. Yeah. Because I'm not very fast at it. I like to be fast at things, so.
So now that we're nearing the end, I think the last question that we like to ask as the 1 Million Cups community is, what can we do best to help support you in your business?
Well, I think that just what you've done here, and give me those resource names so that I have them, and tell your friends and family. Everyone has a quilt in their life. If I asked you if your grandmother quilted or somebody in your life quilted, you'd say, yeah, as a matter of fact, my aunt quilts. If I came to your house or their house, you'd probably have a quilt that needed to be quilted. So regarding the first part of my business, I'll take your quilts and quilt them. And you can tell anybody else. I don't like to brag, but I'm fairly well known in the quilting world here. People, oh yeah, her. So I kind of have a reputation, and people bring their quilts to me because they want me to do it. I'm not the cheapest game in town, but I'm going to give you back a nice product. And as far as my new business, well, you're probably not going to be buying quilting patterns unless you're Tracy. And so in that regard, it's just a matter of helping me with getting the resources that I need so I can get out there and be world famous. And thank you.